A hyperloop pneumatic subway existed in the 19th century. Another proof that there were technologies far superior to the time when they were introduced is the pneumatic tube saga of the 19th century. What we know today as the hyperloop was used in New York in 1867 and in London at the Crystal Palace Pneumatic Railway in 1864. This information is not a secret, though not too many people are aware of this ahead of its time achievement. And here we are, 150 years later, and still not smart enough to implement this technology in the 21st century. Both projects were shut down for various financial reasons and lack of political backing at the time. But was it really the financial profitability reason, or the brightest minds of the 19th century were simply unable to relaunch a technology which survived the collapse of the previous civilization? The same previous civilization I have been talking about for a while now. The civilization comparable to our level of technical development and in many instances far superior to ours. The civilization which was wiped out, and the one I will attempt to elaborate on in my later posts. And of course, there were some publications and other materials confirming the existence of this technology in the mid-18th century. The New York City subway, conventional what we have today, was introduced in 1904. That is some 37 years after the beach pneumatic transit. And what a contrast it was. Look at the first subway train to carry passengers. It looks exactly the way one would expect from the 1900s. Now let us take a look at what those 1867 pneumatic trains cars looked like. Unfortunately, not too many photographs made it through time, but a few did. Supplemented by some 19th century wood engravings, it might give you an idea of what a huge step back we took in 1904. And here is what Crystal Palace Pneumatic Railway train looked like in 1864. Take a note of the similar engravings being different. In reality, it does look like different moments in time. Some of the images representing early days of the London Underground in 1863 show a very sharp contrast between the quality of the tunnel and the trains running through them. Judge for yourselves what you see. By the way, comparing 1863 London cars to 1904 New York cars demonstrates, in my opinion, so-called chronological shift. I firmly believe that New York City and London photos represent the same time. They are separated by 40 years on the traditional chronological scale, yet look the same. Just like I think that all those urban fires and earthquakes separated by years and decades happened at the same time. Below are some additional photos from the London Underground system. They demonstrate an obvious technological mismatch between the general knowledge we have about the 19th century and the supposed achievements and luxuries they actually had. The first engraving represents the portion under the Thames embankment, which has been finished. Additionally, about the city of London in the 1860s, on the first image above you can see the two tubes above the tunnel. They run parallel to each other. Those are the pneumatic mail delivery tubes. Today we run delivery trucks, vans, and other postal service vehicles. In the 1860s, they ran a hyperloop to deliver mail. Judging by the image below, there could have been a similar system in the United States. And of course, this is how all these tunnels were built. Of course, after 6 years of digging with $18 million birth a tunnel boring machine, Seattle is still not done with its downtown tunnel. But in 1860s, They did it with what exactly? A wheelbarrow and a shovel? The below photo is very indicative of the way the vast majority of the so-called 19th century building process photographs look like. To me, it looks like they found a tunnel and trying to dig it out with whatever tools that they have. There's no building process. The new construction looks like an old iron and brick structure, yet it is described as men at work. This photo by Henry Flather shows the construction undertaken between 1866 and 1870 of the Metropolitan District Railway's underground lines, which included the destruction of houses. Where are the project documents, calculations, and convincing photo proof of the construction progress? Or were they simply trying to restore the technology of the previous civilization? Could it be that they tried to launch and failed to successfully do so? These tunnels look old already in the 19th century. In my opinion, this technology was not only beyond the technological level of the 19th century, it is beyond ours as well. Elon Musk's hyperloop one is hoping to change that. As of 2022, we still do not have hyperloop trains delivering passengers. 160 years ago, pneumatic trains were transporting passengers on London. 155 years ago in New York. What do we really know? Or better, what do we not know about our history? Also, the below two photos represent the same object. Both are extremely old. One shows a working pneumatic car, the other one shows extremely old remains of the pneumatic car stuck in the tunnel. The state of the tunnel is also very telling. When were these two photos really taken? Makes me wonder what the time separation between the two could be. And below, ladies and gentlemen, is the tribute to the chronological mismatch where technology versus achievement has no explanation. Our recent past holds secrets beyond our wildest imagination. Of that I have no doubts. Unfortunately, our judgment is so clouded by the institutional tunnel-type education where any deviation from the accepted dogma is being laughed at and ridiculed. But it's so much easier to trust your own eyes as opposed to some commonly accepted nonsense.